In 1936, King George V lay on his deathbed, gravely ill. But what history books often soften is that his death may not have been entirely natural. His personal physician, Lord Dawson, later admitted in private papers that he deliberately gave the king a lethal dose of morphine and cocaine, not out of cruelty, but to hasten the end and ensure the news would break in the morning papers rather than the less respected evening editions. This chilling detail reveals how even the timing of a monarch's death was shaped by image and public perception more than humanity.
George VI, father of Queen Elizabeth II, is remembered as the king who led Britain through World War II. But behind the broadcasts and speeches was a man plagued by a debilitating stammer that nearly paralyzed him in public. His struggle was so severe that he once broke down before giving a speech, convinced he was unfit to rule. It took years of therapy, brutal self-discipline, and courage to transform his weakness into a quiet strength. His story is less about a king's authority and more about a man who conquered his greatest fear while the world watched. The crown jewels sparkle with unrivaled glory, but legends claim they are haunted by a curse. The Koh-i-Noor diamond, taken from India, was said to bring disaster to any man who wore it. To this day, it has only been placed on the crowns of queens, never kings. Beyond this, strange accidents and deaths have followed those who handled the jewels improperly. Were these coincidences or reminders that power extracted through conquest carries shadows of vengeance? Before her tragic death, Princess Diana penned a series of letters to close friends expressing deep fears about her safety. In one, she chillingly predicted, "My car brakes have been tampered with." These writings, kept away from the public for years, suggest Diana may have sensed her fate long before that Paris tunnel. Were these the fears of an anxious princess, or the warnings of a woman trapped in a dangerous royal web? Prince John, the youngest son of George V and Queen Mary, was kept almost entirely out of the public eye. Afflicted with epilepsy and developmental disabilities, he was hidden away at a country estate, rarely photographed, rarely spoken of. When he died at just 13, newspapers barely mentioned him, as though a royal child could vanish into silence. Only decades later would his story resurface, showing the painful lengths the monarchy went to in order to maintain an image of perfection.
George III, often remembered as the Mad King, suffered violent episodes of mental illness. He spoke endlessly for hours, foamed at the mouth, and sometimes had to be restrained by his own servants. Modern science suggests he may have had porphyria, a blood disorder, though the truth remains uncertain. His madness was more than a medical condition, it shook the very foundations of monarchy, for how could a nation bow to a king who lost control of his mind? While Queen Victoria built her image as the stern mother of empire, one of her daughters, Princess Louise, lived a life filled with whispers of scandal. Known for her rebellious spirit, she was rumored to have had an affair with her tutor, perhaps even a secret child. These rumors were buried under official silence, but private letters and accounts suggest a fiery, passionate woman who dared to defy her mother's suffocating expectations. Beneath Windsor Castle lie secret tunnels, some of which date back centuries. Rumors persist that they were once escape routes for kings under siege. Others say they led to secret meeting places for royal affairs, hidden from the public eye. Even today, not all of them are mapped, and certain passages remain sealed, their purpose long forgotten. What lies in the sealed stone corridors beneath Britain's grandest castle may never fully be known. Queen Caroline of Brunswick, estranged wife of King George IV, lived a life of scandal and humiliation. Though legally queen, she was mocked, rejected, and even barred from her coronation. When she died, her coffin was marched through the streets against the king's wishes, crowds crying, "The Queen! The Queen!" She refused in death what she was denied in life: equal dignity. A queen buried in defiance remains one of the monarchy's most symbolic acts of rebellion. Royal servants throughout history lived closer to kings and queens than anyone else, witnessing secrets that could never be spoken aloud. Some kept journals that have only recently been discovered, describing hidden affairs, strange nightly rituals, and outbursts of royal rage. Their silence was bought with loyalty and fear, for to speak too much meant exile or worse. The monarchy's polished surface has always rested on the whispered discretion of those who served unseen.